Hi, I'm Sam Sells, and welcome to my podcast, Clean Money. I like to say investing matters, and my show is to talk with everyday folks that are not only creating great success, but making an impact in society and improving the lives of others. That is my mission, and I want to share my stories and others with you. Welcome to Clean Money. My guest today is Kim Daly, and I'm going to just share a little bit about who she is, which is fantastic, by the way. Kim, your resume is beautiful, and it's something that not very many people know about, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But let me do the intro here. For the past 20 years, Kim Daly has been helping people realize their dreams of business ownership through franchising, while helping thousands of other people to live their dreams of business ownership. She has been living her own. Today, she is recognized as one of America's top franchise consultants. She is an international best-selling co-author of Franchising Freedom and the founder and host of Kim Daly TV. Awesome. Before becoming a franchise consultant, she was an entrepreneur and highly sought after consultant in the health and fitness industry, working with brands such as Denise Austin, Dr. Dennis Waitley, Gold's Gym, and edice.com. She's the creator of the Daly Plan, a millionaire mindset coaching program that enabled her to build the largest franchise consulting business in the history of franchise consulting in 2012. She aspires to be the most influential and motivational voice in the franchise industry. But more importantly, she is the mom of 2 teenage boys, and which has got to be a struggle. I have a teenager. And she is passionate about fitness and nutrition. She loves to work out and ski, and she lives on the beach in southern New Hampshire, which is one of my favorite states on the planet Earth. So Kim, with no further ado, what in the world is a franchise consultant?
Thank you for that warm introduction, Sam. It was making me laugh, and you're right, teenagers.
Ah. Yeah, we like to say, God made, so when you have your kids, you're like, oh, you're so wonderful and beautiful. I love you. I don't mind you crying. And then you become a teenager, and it's like God made teenagers because you're like, okay, go out into the world. I'm ready. Why don't you go now? I know you're only 16. You can live on your own. But
Well, they don't listen to you anyway, so you might as well be like, hey, you don't listen to me. You think you can do it on your own? Good luck. Have fun.
good luck. Yeah.
Hey,
Let's
give me my credit card back.
yeah, tell me how that goes, kid. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So I am a franchise consultant, Sam, which means that I help people understand what franchising is, which is why I'm here today. So I'm really happy to be your guest. I basically take people, investors, even W-2 employees who are looking for more stability. Maybe they're in job transition or they fear losing their job. And they're looking for a way to create a better financial future. They're looking for a way to invest in themselves, to build something that they can own and control, build that cash flowing asset, create some tax advantages, build something that has an exit point at some point in the future, build a business to sell it. Sometimes people are looking to build a legacy to get those teenagers employed because maybe they worry they won't get a job on their own.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, so this is what I do. My services are free. I help people get all the way through from, what is a franchise to what are the right franchises? What can I afford? I help them get their financing all the way to where they can say yes to the franchise. But I get paid by franchisors to offer this amazing service. So kind of like a matchmaker.
That's fantastic. What a great business model.
It is.
If you've heard me talk at all very much, we talk a lot about impact. We talk a lot about clean money on this. This is Clean Money Podcast. We're talking about ways to improve lives and make money doing the same thing. Sounds like you're doing it, right?
I am. Every day for 20 years, I say I fell under the luckiest star. Like nobody wakes up and goes, "Oh yeah, I want to be a franchise consultant," because nobody even knows what that is, including me,
Yeah,
right?
right. Yeah.
But like I felt like this. I took this big deviation from my plan, when I was on my way to medical school, and I answered a classified ad in the newspaper, which you had to explain to my kids what the newspaper is and what a classified ad even was.
Yeah. Yeah, I
and
understand.
And I entered this ad and it was for a franchise consulting company, not the one I'm part of today. And I thought, oh, this will be fun, something different than what I'd planned. And of course, my parents were like, don't do it. You'll never go to medical school. And they were right about that. I never went back, but it was absolutely not a deviation. I always wanted to be a motivational speaker, but like, how does one go do that? I always wanted
Yeah.
to do something that helped people, which is why I wanted to be a doctor. And here I am, eventually on my way to this company I'm part of now, which is called Franchoice. And 20 years later, I've built the largest business in the history of our industry, helping more people come to the idea of business ownership through franchising than any other consultant. And you're right. I'm like, I'm living my dream. I'm helping other people live theirs. It's all good.
That is all good. And you think about like, okay, so you're helping someone get into franchising, right? You're helping them become self-sustainable. You're helping them change their legacy. You're helping them create income. You're helping them create jobs. And as they are successful, they create more jobs. And you know what? I like pizza and I like donuts. So I like to go to the nearest pizza and in donut place. And I'm like, I want some pizza and I want some donuts because I eat really healthy. So,
I can see that.
but not all franchises are food, right? You said this, there's more than just food out there, which is great for the community. It's great for the people. It's great for the workers, but there's more, right? So tell me, what else is there?
Yeah, most executive investors are not, they don't think of franchising because they assume it's only brick and mortar food and retail, right? And they're like, I don't want to do that. And I don't blame them. So, as one of America's top franchise consultants, I love to say that over the last 20 years, I am very proud to say I have helped less than a dozen people get into food-based franchises. So you have to beg me. In fact, just this morning, I met a lifer, hospitality and beverage guy from New York City. And I was like, Jason, I'm just telling you, it ain't going to be food. So, and he was like, I'm fine with that. The easiest people to talk out of food are people who've been in food, right?
Right.
So, like, just like the easiest people to talk into the value of a franchise are former entrepreneurs. Like, it only takes one time to start a business on your own for people to be like, there's got to be an easier, better way to do this. Yes, it's called a franchise. Somebody else has already figured out all the hard stuff for you.
Yeah,
So,
amen to that.
their franchising covers 80 different industries. There are 3 to 4,000 franchise businesses on the market at any one time. My particular sweet spot is I like low fixed costs, big fat healthy margins,
Yep.
predictable scalable revenue. Am I hitting any high points with anybody?
You're hitting my high points. I'm interested.
Yeah, because these are the things that help business owners feel in control.
Hmm.
If no one's coming in, you're not bleeding to keep your doors open, right? So that's pandemic proof and recession proof.
Right.
And there are things that give quality of life, right? We don't just want to just trade one job for another. I want to set you up to be an executive who works on a business, not in a business, and managing through people and technology and systems and being able to scale that, because that's where the wealth gets created. So it could be home services. That's a huge category, especially since 2020, right? Anything in the home, from gutters to power washing to cleaning the home to California closets. That's a franchise, to the window treatments of budget blinds, right? Budget blinds has been featured on HGTV and Undercover Boss, like to the lawn people, the sprinkler company, right? The pool cleaning. How many people got a pool in 2020? Everybody got a pool and a puppy.
Everybody got a pool and a
Seriously.
puppy, and we couldn't find anybody to clean the dang pool. So it's just like, come
Exactly.
clean our pool. We'll pay you, but they would never come. So we did it ourselves. Yeah, sorry, I never. That's
No,
fantastic. Awesome.
it's all of those. So, and then there's business to business products and services. So, if you're looking for something that has a little more professional flair and you like the idea of your customers being business owners, there's even blue collar businesses. Like we have epoxy coating franchises, some amazing ones that go into hospitals and schools, with non-stick floors that are super durable and better than a traditional epoxy. Or, we have temporary staffing and executive recruiting or technology consulting companies. So The gamut of franchises is very wide. When you're out there on your own saying, I love the idea of owning a business through a franchise, but I don't really know what I could afford or what I could do. That's when you call Kim Daly. That's where I come in.
Wow. So tell me, like, if somebody came to you and they have $0, what are you going to tell them? Where are you going to get them started?
Okay, so what I'm going to do, listen, my heart is in this to help people, right? So I'm never going to uninspire a dream. If you have the dream and you have no money, I'm going to educate you on what your business buys. If you have $5 million in the bank, I'm going to educate you on what your money buys. So before we ever talk about what level of investment you think is a good, comfortable investment for you, I'm going to teach you what your money buys. I'm going to explain to you why different franchises cost what they are, because there are a lot of misconceptions. Franchisors jack up the cost of starting businesses, and like they have all these fees. And so we
Yeah.
gotta set the record straight before we begin. And I mostly explain, Sam, how time and money go together and they're
Mhm.
inversely related. So the lower the investment of money, the bigger the investment of time commitment. Flip that over the other side and say, for example, like a laundromat, which is a franchise, very big capital investment, but very minimal time commitment once it's open, right? Maybe
Mhm.
5 hours a week or less. So, but then there's all kinds of shades of gray in the middle. So we explain. So this is an investment. You do need money, but you don't need millions of dollars, right? There are
Right.
franchises that are 30, 40, 50,000 all in. There are franchises that are 3, 4, $5 million all in, and a whole bunch of things in the middle.
Can someone really retire and work 5 hours a week?
I love that question. So I would throw it back to the person I'm working with and say, can you leave your business alone? So
No.
yeah, it's a sickness of us business owners, right? There's so many business owners out there today that bought a business to be a semi-absentee owner. So semi-absentee probably means about 20 hours a week to get going, scaling back to maybe 10 hours a week on an ongoing basis, right?
Hmm.
But I've talked to my candidates who will go, Kim, I thought you said this was semi-absentee. Like everybody's telling me I can't do it semi-absentee. Well, that's a sickness of an owner. And this just happened to me yesterday. So when my candidate told me, I'm not validating with anybody who's keeping their W-2 job and running the business. And I said, really? So I was so concerned because I didn't want to misrepresent something. So I called the franchisor and was like, hey, what's up? And he was like, well, what's happening is like our franchise owners are coming out of the gate so fast. And in month 3 and 4, they're making like 250 grand. They're doing like 250 in revenue in a month,
Wow.
that they're finding out, our owners are figuring out that like they don't really need to keep their W-2 job. And I'm like, well, that's a very different conversation than like what my guy was trying to say to me. So I called him back and I'm like, hey, buddy, like, I think the reality is people realize if they focus their effort on the business, they don't need the W-2 job. So they're ditching it. Right. So
That's a totally
it's
different story. Yeah.
a totally different story. Yeah. But you absolutely can invest in a franchise if it's the right one. Not everyone. Some franchisors and businesses really do need the owner at the helm of the ship for the first, 2 or 3 years. But if you're looking for something you can do in addition to other businesses, or part-time in retirement, or part-time with a W-2 job, absolutely I have great options. That's kind of my sweet spot. That's where I play. Most people are diversified. They're not just doing one thing.
What do you mean by that? Not just one thing. Are they doing multiple franchises or multiple same? So, like, say they're they're doing the epoxy in multiple different hospitals, or they're doing epoxy plus this plus that.
Oh, that's such a great question. So now we're kind of talking about scale. But what I meant by that was most people might have a W-2 job in the beginning until they prove to themselves that they can be a successful business owner. But then when they leave that job and step into the business, they're not going to go from being a semi-absentee owner to a full-time owner, right? So now they find themselves with extra time. they come back to Kim and say, well, what else can I do? So
Mhm.
I think at the end of the day, the goal, the dream is inspired by a single franchise. And for a lot of people, look, that's enough. They may grow 2 or 3 territories or 2 or 3 locations of the same business. They're making the kind of money they want. It satisfies their income goals. They have a quality of life. They're good. But if you get somebody who's a little aggressive and empire builder mentality, who once they get in and they taste business ownership, they're like, I want to do it again, right? And whether that's in 6 months or a year or 4 years or whatever, then they come back to me and they may set up like a parent company, like an umbrella company, and they may have 2 or 3 units of a roofing franchise and 2 or 3 units of a power washing franchise and 2 or 3 units of, right? But oftentimes you can leverage the same customer if you're smart about how you do that, right? I even have people like in the massage business who will come back and buy a fitness business, and they can, again, it's the same customer who's going to go to like an Orange Theory that goes to a Massage Envy, you know. So
Yeah.
you get to understand one demographic, market to one demographic, have a database of one demographic, and be like, hey, by the way, we're also opening this, fitness thing down the street, come on in and check it out. And then you're serving one customer with 2 different businesses. So there, and the last thing I'll say is there are even parent franchisor organizations now that are setting up this kind of scale for their franchisees, so, and for themselves, so they can have fewer franchisees collect multiple royalties across multiple companies. But the beauty for everybody is the simplicity of scale, because if you have a home services franchisor that owns 5 different home services and you enter with one, and then you grow to the second and you grow to the third, the learning curve is so reduced because you're leveraged across the same platform. It's the
Yeah.
same marketing, it's the same technology. And again, in some cases, it's even the same customer. So when you're talking about scale, which is how wealth is always created, and a
Hmm.
diversified portfolio, which is always safer than all eggs in one basket, I mean, this is a win-win for both sides, franchisor and franchisee.
Wow. It makes me think. So, uh, there was this new retail strip bill, and it's got an Orange Theory, it's got a Massage Envy, it's got crumble cookie, which is like $5 cookies that are really tasty, but they're still $5 a piece. Um, brilliant.
Right.
And then it's got this other healthy food eatery. And I just thought, if you had your own commercial strip, you own every single one of those things. They're all basically the same customer, right? They're eating healthy, they're working out, they're getting their massage, and they're like, I'm gonna go buy a cookie because I'm gonna treat myself because
Treat.
I just exercised. And that place is always packed.
Right. We have one of those crumble places right outside our biggest movie theater where I live. And the teenagers are always going in there before and after the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah, that's
can't
the
blame them.
exact same idea. And it could be one owner. It could be, multiple franchise owners that, just because the franchisors, when they're helping you with site selection, they're looking for anchor stores because they want to align you with, if you have the customer that shops at Whole Foods for what you're doing, well, it makes sense to try to get near the Whole Foods, right? Same
Mhm.
idea. Massage Envy and Orange Theory are actually owned by the same executives. And so they're definitely going to be trying to place their franchisees close to each other because they know that it's the same demographic.
So you just touched on something that people forget or don't know. Franchise owners want their franchises to be successful, right? So, what are some of the things that they're doing to help your new entrants be successful?
Everything. It's just such an amazing point because people do come to the idea of owning a franchise, but then there's this like feeling like the franchisor is against them. Like, no, like the whole reason they set up a franchise is to use your time and your money to build their brand, right? But
Right.
it has to be a win-win. Like, they make money after you make money. So they're going to demonstrate to you from day one of your investigation their level of commitment to you. And if they don't, they're not a good partner. But
Yeah.
like, what I mean by that is you don't have to go figure out what you need to know to say yes to a franchise. Good franchisors are taking your hand after you've been pre-qualified by me and saying, "Oh, you're interested in learning about our company? Here, come on in. We're going to show you." And they set up a series, I call them dates. They set up a series of dates, and it starts with a blind date, because you don't know what brands I'm going to bring to you. So I'm like, you got to have a spirit of adventure. Go have some fun, see all the fun ways there are to make money in the world before you start judging whether it will work or it's the right thing for you. Just enjoy the process, because
Yeah.
sometimes it's the ugly duckling that in the beginning you're like, I don't know about this one. That when you go, you're like, that was more fun than I thought it was going to be. Right. Because when you say yes to a franchise, you're not buying a hobby, or you shouldn't, right? This is a business. It needs to make you money. It needs to provide some sort of quality of life that you're looking for by your definition. And it needs to have the characteristics. If you're worried about a recession, it needs to be more essential. If you're a person who knows that people spend money on what they want regardless of a session, it needs to have that fun and adventurous factor, or you're going to be bored, right?
Right.
I'm the one who's measuring these characteristics, to helping you define what your definitions are, and talking you through it before we even start looking at companies.
Mm.
So going back to your original question, which was oh, how do franchisors help you? Is they're going to guide you in your due diligence, teaching you. Then they're going to let you talk to their owners. So you don't have to take their word for it. You get to go validate with the family of franchise owners who've already said yes. How happy are you knowing what you know now? Would you do this again?
Yeah,
Are you
absolutely.
making money? So there's the proof is in the pudding. But the types of support come down to marketing, obviously training. We do not need industry experts, widget experts. If you own a plumbing franchise, you are not a master plumber, right? And sometimes, Sam, the more people know about the job, the harder it is to be the CEO owning the business. Sometimes it's better that you know less, right? You in a lot of cases, we're either using contractors and trades, or we're bringing them in as employees, and we want them to be the expert at the job. We want you to be the expert at managing, leading the team, focused on marketing, customer acquisition, customer experience, the parts that make you money, not the doing the job part. You own a yoga studio, you're not teaching yoga, right? You're managing the people who teach yoga. You're focused on driving the customers to your front door, creating this experience where they want to come back, building that community. That's what owners are doing. They're business people, not widget masters. So there's training to get you comfortable. There might be certification if you need it. There's technology. So, running even just social media for their franchisees, or search engine optimization, or all the digital marketing to get your phone to ring. Some franchisors even have national call centers that once they get your phone to ring, they answer your phone. In some really simple franchises like junk removal, they'll even sell the customer for you, book the job, because everybody buys a protected territory of zip codes. They field that caller back to your territory via the zip code they live in. I mean, look, junk removal is not rocket science, right? If I'm calling, I want junk removal, the national call center people are trained to convert me, say, oh, Kim, yeah, what are we picking up for you today? And yeah, we have an opening on Thursday, looking at your calendar because it's all connected through the technology. Put me right into the calendar. We can take your credit card and reserve your spot. I mean, as an owner in a business, to have all of that done for you, that's how you get to be semi absent, because then your job really is to hire and train and lead your guys.
Yeah,
Make sure that they're running the routes, and then taking the whatever they're picking up to consignment stores, and places around the community that you've already set up to bring the stuff to. And that's your business.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I, coming out of the military, I'm retired uh Air Force officer. So coming out, I had no idea that there were systems out there where people were so supportive of each other in business that I just thought, I got to do this all on my own. I can't find a mentor. I'm just going to have to figure it out. And it was so painful,
Poor
years
Sam.
of pain. And if I've told other people, if I can go back in time and 4 years ago, I'd probably punch myself in the face like, Sam, You're an idiot. Don't do that. Find
Well,
somebody who can help you. And Kim, it sounds like you are the ideal person to help.
it's
Um,
so true. Starting a business is so hard, and there's so much uncertainty and so many unknowns. And then just the loneliness of it, right? I was an entrepreneur too before I got into franchising, and here we're very collaborative, and it's not just with a parent organization but all of the other franchisees. Like, I tell people, you're going to go to training and you're going to learn the book theory of how to do the business, but you're going to learn, like, you're going to master the art of your business by making friends with the other franchise owners who have been in longer than you, because they're out there doing it every day. They
yeah,
know that when you're getting objections in a sales process, you don't have to go take some blanket sales course. You call your fellow franchisees and you're like, hey, what do you do when customers say this? Right?
yeah,
I keep bumping up against a price objection. Like, what do I do? You don't have to make it up on your own. And people, because you're not competitive, you're all shareholders in the same brand. We share our information. Like, yeah, we're competitive because all franchisors, if they're smart, are transparent about what each franchisee is doing per month in revenue, because we all have a little competitive
oh
advantage
yeah,
behind us, right?
absolutely.
But also because if you're making excuses for a recession, or my territory, or
Hmm.
blah blah blah, and then they can open up the thing and say, well, look at all these other people who aren't making the economy an issue. This person did this and this and this. Well, number one, okay, it's me. It's not my business.
Yeah.
Stop making excuses. But number two, you know who to call. I need a little pep talk.
Hey, Sally, what are you doing? Because I'm not doing that.
Yes. I spend a lot of time coaching my fellow franchise consultants because they want to have a business like I have. And I mean, I say I've been blessed to do this for 20 years. So I've figured out a lot of things over 20 years.
Oh
So if
yeah.
you're 6 months in or a year in and I can offer you some words of wisdom, sometimes experience is the only teacher, but sometimes we're not hard headed. Sometimes we can be open and actually take advice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can help you.
Excellent. So humility is a key trait of anyone who comes to you, as well as willingness to work hard. And you know, you have a teenagers, right? And if you buy a gift and you give them a gift, and they're like, "This is terrible, mom." Ugh. You don't want to give them anything anymore, right? No. But when they're like,
Christmas morning is sometimes tough.
yeah, just
Like, I was so excited.
I was, yeah. And if you're a parent, you've done this before, right? You're like, okay.
Yeah.
Um, so like, when we come as people, individuals, we have to be willing to accept um help. We have to be willing to act upon that help. And that humility is so essential to successful business. Important to um impact occurring in our own lives.
So true. In a franchise, franchises are awarded, they're not sold. So it really is a mutual evaluation process. So then a candidate might say to me, well, why wouldn't I be awarded the franchise? Well, if you come to the table, sort of combative, challenging the franchisor at every turn, questioning everything they're doing, it doesn't mean you can't ask hard questions. It doesn't mean you can't raise your concerns. It doesn't mean that at all. It's the tone, the
Hmm.
timing, right? When you're asking those questions, and then how willing you are to receive an answer versus then throwing back a yeah, but, right? A franchisor is thinking, if this person is like this before we take their money, well, what the heck happens after we take their money? Because money is just going to intensify all of those feelings. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably really the number one reason people are not awarded a franchise is they just present themselves in a way that makes them not likable. You know, the franchisor wants the family to get along. They want to like you. they want to do business with people they like and that they feel like them. And there's some mutual trust and respect that can be built. And for some people, it's just too hard of a leap, you know. But that's the number one reason. But then the other part of what you're saying is just being coachable. I tell everybody, check your ego at the door. And again, going back to what I said earlier, if you're a mechanic buying a Meineke, man, or CPA buying an H&R Block, you gotta be absolutely certain that you can surrender the way you've done things if it's different from how they do it. Because always, 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 franchisees who were struggling, who then have some epiphany and turn their business around, will say, I was doing it my way. I decided to stop and do it their way. And magically, it's working.
Yeah.
So following the franchisor's lead is so important to success, surrendering your ego and being coachable.
Why not? I mean, franchise has already proven this is the recipe for success.
Right.
So follow it.
And
Yeah.
that's why sometimes it's not a good fit for everybody. Not everybody is suited to be a franchisee. There certainly are franchises, I think, for every personality type. If I'm working with like an engineer or a financial person, very data driven, they're not going to be out on the bleeding edge necessarily looking for the most pioneering new thing that has no proof, right? They might instead look at like a franchise that's $1 billion company that has a lot of track record, and that's their comfort level. Someone like me who's sort of more entrepreneurial, I like to have I don't like rules. I like to have the freedom to sort of, structure, but I want to do it my way. You laugh, Sam, but my dad will say, Kimberly, you haven't liked rules since you were 2 years old. He once heard me when I was 40 years old, he once heard me tell somebody, I'm 40 years old and I'm completely unemployable. And he's like, she's been unemployable since she was 2 years old.
Yeah. Nothing's changed.
There's that. I like to be the boss of me. But, I found a franchise that I'm in now called FranChoice, the one I'm working in right now,
Mhm.
that gave me the structure, but gave me the freedom, right? So it's all about finding the right partnership for you that gives you enough comfort and support for your personality, your risk profile, and what you feel you're going to need as an owner to then flourish.
Mhm.
And there are very big companies with data and track record and history and every I dotted. And there are younger, more nimble. This is how we do it, but add your own flavor to it, companies too. And again, there's shades of gray in between. And my job is to get to know you and understand your risk tolerances. And what I feel after meeting you is going to meet you where you are, and then to provide opportunity to you, which is why the widget, what the business actually does, is the very last thing on my mind. It's the people, it's connecting you to people.
Yeah.
I have franchises that are built on Christian values and they're very forward facing with their Christian values. If I meet people who are actively involved in their church and talk a lot about their Christian values, you better believe I'm thinking of that connection, because it's people to people. We do business with people. We're in franchising, but we're in the people business. You own a business, you're in that business, but no matter what business you're in the people business. And you've got to find
100%.
people that you align with and that you can get to know, like, and respect,
I
and
love
be
it.
a person that other people can know, like, and respect.
Love it. I um, love that meeting people where they are. We talk a lot about lifting where you stand. Heard someone talk about one time lifting a piano, and it's like, well, where do we pick it up? Well, everyone just get around it and then just lift where you stand. It's the only way you're going to move a grand piano without like a crane. So it's just people standing where you are and lifting as much as you can. Nobody can lift at 2,000 pounds by themselves, but 20 people, each one lifting just a little bit can make a big difference. And so lifting where we stand, helping where we meet people. I love it. I love those concepts. I'm so sorry. We've got to wrap this up. Our production team is going to yell at me, you know. So I really, really enjoyed our conversation. I look forward to talking to you some more in the future. two things. One, could you please tell us something wild about yourself that others don't know?
Something wild about me, I guess, is most people do not know that. Here we go. I'm going to cringe a little bit, but no, I'm not. I'm very proud of it. I was
Love.
Miss New Hampshire preteen, 1984, Miss New Hampshire teen, 1988, and Miss New Hampshire 1992.
Wonderful. That is awesome.
So I can wave.
I tried
No,
out, but they wouldn't accept
we
me.
joke, but all of the interviewing skills, the talents, the using my personality to influence judges, all of that has played an unbelievable role in the success that I have. And the day that I turned on that camera and started creating YouTube videos, it was literally like a full circle moment in my life where I was like, duh, I was born for this business.
That is so cool. Amazing.
Yeah.
That is really neat. Thank you for sharing that. Not cringy at all. You know, somebody else may think otherwise, but not for me. Wonderful. That's wonderful. I love it. All right. Well, can you tell our listeners how can they reach you, talk to you? How can they find you?
Yep. The best way, Sam, absolutely is through my YouTube channel. I'm super proud of the over 400 videos I have on all things franchising, business ownership, mindset coaching, success and failure in a franchise, interviews with top performing franchisees and franchisors. So much content on my YouTube channel at Kim Daly, Daly, KimDaly.tv. And then from there, if you are interested in my free service, absolutely, there's email addresses and contact forms you can link to all over the place. So absolutely feel free to find me, and I would love to meet you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kim. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the call. And, thank you everyone for tuning in to Clean Money, where we talk about sustainable investing that improves society. We talk about impact and passionate opportunities. And Kim, you fit those things fantastically well. You've been doing it for 20 years. That is amazing. So amazing. So thank you again for joining the show. Thank you for tuning in to Clean Money, where we talk about sustainable investing that improves society. We are passionate about creating great investment returns to investors who want to use their money to make a positive social impact in the world. If you enjoyed the episode, we'd appreciate a 5-star review. And if you are interested in making your investing matter, please connect with us at wildmountaincapital.com, or you can find me, Samuel Sells, on LinkedIn, on Twitter at Sells_Samuel, on Instagram at Clean Money Sam, or on Facebook. And finally, make your investing matter.